Hey y'all, Eric Adcock, This Awkward Life. Today is Tuesday, January 13th, and this is my attempt to do a podcast every day of 2026. You know, I come across this image, which I love public domain images. That's things that once they get like 95 years old, you can use for your own personal use or whatever you want to. So I was breezing through the public image domain. I come across this one image, and the title of it was Knocking on a Deaf Man's Door. Now that sounded like a blues song to me, but it's not until I write it. But anyway, it's just a picture of this monk outside of the door, and I'll try to link this picture in the show notes or whatever. But because I felt this picture more than I understood it, because if you've lived any amount of life, you know exactly what that feels like. You know, you knock and you wait. You knock again, and maybe this time you knock a little louder. You're hoping for movement inside, but you never hear anything, right? For a sound, any sign of what you're saying is being heard. You're just talking almost like to a wall. You're hoping that something will come through. Eventually, you face the truth that the door's not locked, and you're not doing anything wrong. It's just that the person on the other side will not hear you. You know, that's the realization of everything, because we spend so much energy trying to make people listen. I know I have in the last couple of weeks tried to explain myself to people, and just doesn't seem like it's getting through. You know, explain ourselves, we repeat ourselves, we soften our tone, we raise our tone. We try love, we try logic, we try everything, we try silence, and still nothing. Some people are just not going to hear you. You know, some people are deaf to, the wisdom. They're deaf to correction. And even some I have found out is deaf to encouragement, because they've already decided what they believe, and no knock is ever going to change that. You can try. I mean, you really can. You can try, but knocking on a deaf man's door, it just resonated with me. You know, if we're not careful, we'll start blaming ourselves. I blame myself for so much in life that I couldn't get someone to hear, or couldn't make myself be understood. And that's not a good thing either. You know, you go in your head, maybe if I didn't say this right, or I should have tried harder, or maybe if I knocked one more time, But here's something that we all need to hear. You're not responsible for someone else's hearing. The Bible says in Matthew 7:6, do not give what is holy to the dogs, nor cast your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces. That's not harsh. That's not really harsh. That's honest. Some doors are not meant to be knocked on forever. Some conversations are not meant to be forced. There's some people you just cannot talk to. Some people aren't ready, and no amount of effort you put can ever make them ready. And if you're like me, you feel like you failed. And it's not that you failed. It means that you're knocking on a deaf man's door. And here is the thing that frees me, or helps me. Your calling is not to convince everyone. Your calling is not to win every argument. Your calling is not to exhaust yourself and to break through other people's resistance. Your call is to obedience, faithfulness, and that's it. No outcomes. You're called to be obedient and faithful. And Jesus understood this more than anyone when he said, if anyone will not receive you or listen to your words, shake the dust off your feet and leave that house. Notice what he didn't say. He didn't say argue longer. He didn't say knock any longer. He didn't say taking it personally. That's where I take things personally. I've got to be better at that in 2026. What he did say was leave in peace. And that is where we're at, to be able to leave in peace. Knocking on a deaf man's door can be one of the most frustrating things in the world. I know that this week I have knocked on some people's doors, and they just will not hear me. And that's okay. That's okay, because not every door that you knock on is to be answered. Hey, y'all, I appreciate y'all so much. Thank y'all for listening to me. Hope y'all have a great day, and pray for me on my journey to do a podcast every day this year. Thank you.